This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. It is Luke Skywalker early Friday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after we review Neuroscience and Meditation. That was kind of a tongue twister, wasn't it? Why do many mythologies explore a fall from grace? Ask an archaeologist or an anthropologist and they'll tell you. Our Paleolithic ancestors enjoyed a type of matriarchy, a type of proto-communism, wherein they were conditioned to be flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Fast forward about 13,000 years ago, our ancestors endured the Neolithic revolution that turned human society on its head, causing culture to become much more patriarchal and somewhat akin to proto-capitalism, wherein people were conditioned to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Perhaps that is why Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including humans, even meditation teachers. So it is the rigid and controlling majority that implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze to such a degree that they so exhaust their medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortices that it triggers their amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. Fortunately, when we passively cooperate with both facets of our autonomic nervous system, not only do we calm that anxiety and aggression, but we gently stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which not only functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, but also the seat of empathy. Sounds great. Sign me up. How do we do this? Let us begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we've evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, which functions as the core of our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly and fleetingly watch all mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. All of them, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the convenient to the arduous, from the glorious to the grotesque. What are we to do with all that which we noticed? In a word, we meditate. But how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we've evolved to access both the tippy top and the very bottom of our spinal cord. Both these regions functioning as a team, acting as a team, function as the core of our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we watched during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and as non-graspable as a vast empty void. When I was in 4th grade, I had the very good fortune to be taught that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. So what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand? And so we see both emptiness and no self are simply figures of speech to describe the fleeting and transitory experience latent or hidden within each exhalation. If that experience is just fleeting and temporary and at best figurative, then why bother? Because mindfulness and meditation are not only the 7th and 8th path, folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, but they function as a dynamo of enlightenment in self. What if enlightenment was simply mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what do we mean by mastery? Mastery, when we have mastered a skill, we wind up practicing it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. As children, we mastered using the commode instead of our diapers, brushing our teeth, tying our shoes, riding a bike, and even reading, writing, and arithmetic. The more we sit and breathe and watch and rest, the more we can help but notice change. The more we cannot help but practice kind intention, kind communication, kind contact, and kind commerce. The more we sit and breathe and watch and rest, the more our choices and utterances and deeds flow. No, not from contrived calculations, nor from wild scatterness, but instead from love's deeply centered spontaneity. Perhaps this path is easy and quick. Perhaps that is why the Buddha taught in the second to the final passage of his discourse on the 4 bases of mindfulness that one could master this path in as little as 7 years or 7 quarters or 7 months or 7 fortnights or 7 weeks or even 7 days. In preparation of Hatha Yoga's union of awareness and letting go, let us gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce upon the crown of our head. The easiest way to do this is simply to use the tip of our left index finger to support the lower knuckle of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Let us not make the mistake of actively focusing on our nostrils or our breath. For as we saw previously, actively focusing will trigger our amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. Instead, let us learn the lesson from a good piano student. A good piano student does not focus on the sound of the metronome. They're too busy focusing on their sheet music and their keyboards. Instead, they simply regard the sound of the metronome with passive peripheral awareness. Similarly, as we passively notice air enter our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, watch. And as we passively notice air exit our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, rest. Let us keep track of our first set of 12 inhalations. Now, although it's ergonomically best to rest our hands palms up in our lap, I'm going to lift my hands up so you can see how to do that. Every time we silently and mentally recite the verb watch during our inhalations, let's advance our right thumb across the creases found on the underside, I should say across the sets of creases found on the underside of our fingers. Together, let us do that right now. Having completed our first set of 12 inhalations, we could find that only a minute has elapsed. Fortunately, we can count an additional 12 sets of 12 inhalations each for an additional 12 minutes of mindfulness and meditation. How could we keep track of the additional 12 sets? Simple. We could begin by touching the tip of our left thumb, the lower set of creases of our left little finger, and then return to our right hand for another 12 inhalations. Having completed our second set of 12 inhalations, we now advance our left thumb to the next set of creases, and so forth and so on. Remember, repetition is the mother of skill. Come to these live streams once every 12 hours, and within a week or two, this entire system you could master. The moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 13 minutes or so. We are now faced with a choice. How do we keep track of our next collection of 13 sets of 12 inhalations each? Do we simply slide the tip of our left index finger up to the middle knuckle of our right index finger? Or do we simply replace our index finger with our left middle finger, touching the tip of our left middle finger to the lower knuckle of our right middle finger? To answer that question, in this situation, we're going to advance through the text. In preparation of Anu Yoga's union of bliss and letting go, we're going to gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. To do that, we're going to go with the middle finger option, which sounds far more salacious than it really is. As we passively notice our chest swell with breath, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb feel. As we feel our chest subtly sink as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb rest. And now let us use now let us count 13 sets of 12 inhalations each, using the method I explained about 13 minutes ago. Let us switch gears again. This time to Mahayoga's union of love and letting go. During the previous exercise, we generated a lot of subtle energy, and now we're going to share that subtle energy. We're going to apply that to the practice of universal love, where we bring our neurotic needs and desires into the peaceful path of manifesting the mental, interpersonal, physical, and circumstantial happiness for all beings everywhere. Since we're already wired for empathy and cooperation, let's practice mental wishing love. Now, if you wish to chant with me, I recommend you join me on the Tube app simulcast. If you're looking at me right now, if I'm staring straight at you, you're already where you need to be. Together. May each being's experience of the mental know me as peacefully wise as the mind invent archetypical Buddha symbolized by a bija syllable. Here's how we practice love and letting go. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the 6-syllable synopsis, bija wise for all minds. During our exhalation, we do 2 things. We physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant the 10-syllable mantra 3 times per breath, for a total of 8 breaths. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa, 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 Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa. Whoops, let's continue. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa, 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 Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa. There's no need to indulge superstition. If all this exercise does is help us to constructively channel whatever energy we generated during the previous exercise, while simultaneously conditioning our neural pathways responsible for empathy, then that is sufficient. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa, 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 Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa. Since we're already wired for empathy and cooperation, let's practice interpersonal wishing love. May each being's experience of the interpersonal now be as joyfully loving as the speech of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a mantra. Mantra love for all speech. Om Tade 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 Sawa, 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 Om Tade 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 Sawa. Om Tade 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 Sawa, 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 Om Tade 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 Sawa. Om Tade 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 Sawa, 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 Om Tade 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 Sawa. Since we're already wired for empathy and cooperation, let's practice physical wishing love. May each being's experience of the physical now be as healthy as the form of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a yidam. Yidam health for all forms. Om Tade 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 Sawa, 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 Om Tade 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 Sawa. Om Tade 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 Sawa, 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 Om Tade 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 Sawa. Since we're already wired for empathy and cooperation, let's practice circumstantial wishing love. Together. May each being's experience of the circumstantial now be as fortunate as the lot of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a paradise per land of Vati. Quick review. To practice the union of love and letting go is simple. During our inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the 6-syllable synopsis, Vati Boon for all lots. During the exhalation, we perform 2 actions. We physically relax as best we can while chanting the 10-syllable mantra 3 times per breath for a total of 12 inhalations. I should say for a total of 12 breaths. Om Tare Nare Nure Sowa, 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 Om Tare Nare Nure Sowa. Having sat for the better part of an hour, we might find it refreshing to practice spiritual squat thrusts after taking a moment or two to review bodhicitta and refuge. In our compassion, may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of dread desire and delusion, metaphorically known as the 3 mental poisons. In our pragmatism, may our liberation of all others. Be fueled by your mastery of the three wish-fulfilling jewels of following the Buddha's example, applying his instructions, and cooperating with his students. The 8-syllable synopsis of that which we just chanted reads, "May we free all through the 3 jewels." If you wish to join me, you are welcome. I'm going to take a moment to swing the camera around. Away! Oh. All right, here we go. May we free all through the 3 jewels. May we free all through the 3 jewels. May we free all through the 3 jewels. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's dusk practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.